What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about how Max Kellerman does not believe in Tom Brady or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Did Brady prove that he's still elite?
No. Brady had a... Look, I thought...
Look, you can say Tom Brady's not elite, but he's definitely displaying some elite-type behavior.
Brady looked excellent in the comeback. He is a winning quarterback. He deserves credit for that, especially at this age. He had all the time in the world to throw. The pass protection was excellent. And if you give Tom Brady, who's a very experienced quarterback, all the time in the world to throw, he's going to look good throwing the ball, especially if he has weapons, and he did. But guys, just like a few things. Last time he was an elite quarterback in terms of the numbers, like the QBR, for example. Well, what's QBR? It takes into account all the different stuff. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty good thumbnail sketch. 2018, he was top 6.
Wow, surprise, surprise. So Tom Brady was elite the last time he won a Super Bowl in 2018? Is that what period of time you're talking about, Max? Oh, okay.
You know what he was last year? He was 21st out of starting quarterbacks. 21st. 4 points below league average. So this year, surely he's better, right? He's 20th. Oh, so one notch better. 7 points below league average. He's now thrown 4 pick sixes in his last 6 games. You know how long it took him to throw 4 pick sixes before that? Before his last 6 games? 101 games. Like, this guy's clearly not the same. Obviously not. The last time he was elite was a year and a half ago. Can he still be? Look, great older players can still recapture magic on a certain night, right? But can he do it consistently? Well, he hasn't now for a year and a half. That's the facts. I'm not making.
No, he has been consistent for the past 3 games, Max, while being on a new team.
It up. Even now, what is it? His interceptions per attempt is the lowest since 05, his worst since 05. You know, it is clearly not the same guy. Can still look real pretty if he gets that pass protection, and he did yesterday, and can still win when another quarterback who's putting up the same numbers may lose, and that has a lot of value. But that's a lot different than saying he's an elite quarterback.
So like I said before, you can say that Tom Brady is not elite, but he's definitely displaying some elite-type behavior. So let's take a quick look at the stats real quick. So Tom Brady threw the rock for 46 times, completed 30 of those, and he threw for 369 yards with the completion percentage of 65.2. He threw 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, and his QBR is 85.3. I'll take those numbers. I would definitely take those numbers from a 43-year-old quarterback that's playing in the league for 20 years, and he's working on his 4th or 5th game, or with a new team. I'll take that all day, every day. Tom Brady looked good out there. I think he's balling. Again, like I said, you can say he's not elite, but he's definitely at the top of the pack in the NFC. So let's continue.
Oh, he looked elite yesterday. That's the bottom line. 5 touchdowns, passes, 369 yards, overcoming a 24-7 deficit. Last time I checked, that does matter. He is a starting quarterback in the National Football League. By the way, he hasn't had Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin wasn't out there yesterday. We had Gronkowski with a 29-yard catch. We had Mike Evans with 122 receiving yards on 7 receptions. We've seen a few others like O.J. Howard had about 50 yards pass catching and what have you. And we saw Ronald Jones rush for 100 yards. But the bottom line is that 24-7, 24-7. Bruce Arians said it best. If this was last year, we would have lost the game. The difference is that not only do you have a guy that's making throws, and by the way, making big-time throws for a 3rd or 4th week consecutively, or at least 3 weeks consecutively, I might add, after that opening loss to the New Orleans Saints, but he's somebody that has a never-say-die attitude, and it appears to be contagious. So it's not just about his ability to throw the football, it's about his ability to lead. And this is while he's learning on the job with no preseason game to speak of, which he reminded folks of yesterday when they asked him about his play. He said, guys, this would still be the preseason under normal circumstances. So these are the kind of things that we have to pay attention to, which is why I had so much confidence that the Buccaneers would be a formidable team to deal with in the NFC, because somehow, some way, this guy, Tom Brady, is not just a leader, but he is a winner. He finds ways to elevate the people around him, not just himself. And when you consider the fact that he's 43 years of age, that velocity that you're talking about that was sorely lacking, I saw plenty of throws over the last 3 weeks where it wasn't lacking at all, and we got to pay.
Exactly.
attention to those things. He's dropping dimes all over the place. I don't know how you can look at him and sit up there and say, well, guess what? The completion percentage, this, that, or the other. I mean, the dude is throwing the ball with velocity. He's throwing the ball with touch. He's throwing touchdown passes. He's moving the chains, and he's galvanizing the troops around him. And, oh, by the way, it's a 3-1 record. I'm not going to ignore it. I saw the pick six that he threw, and I'm glad that they wiped that out of their playbook the rest of the game, because that was similar to the pick six that he threw against New Orleans at start off the season as well, even though that was on the right side and yesterday was on the left side. Throw that damn thing out of the playbook. Outside of that, Tom Brady has looked stellar as far as I'm concerned, and I got to give props where it's due.
So I definitely agree with Stephen A. Smith there. I thought Tom Brady looked good too. The majority of Max Kellerman's argument is probably from last year when he was with the Patriots, when he had no weapons other than really Julian Edelman. So, I mean, it only makes sense that it would be pretty hard to get to the Super Bowl when you have no weapons. They should just be happy that he made the playoffs with the type of players that he had. I know they lost in the wild card, but still, he still made it. And this year, now he has weapons, and now it's 3-1, and it's balling out of control. His last game, he threw 5 touchdowns. Yeah, Max's argument is absolutely going to be thrown out the window. And Tom Brady's only going to get better because this is obviously he's working in a new system. He's still trying to get the kinks out. So I'll definitely give credit where credit's due and say that Tom Brady's definitely taking care of business. And there's one other thing. Justin Herbert, the rookie quarterback for the Chargers, looked excellent too. So that man went 20 for 25 for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and his QBR is 86. That guy is going to be a stud when he gets older. That guy is going to be an absolute beast a couple years down the road. Maybe not even a couple years. This time next year, this guy might be putting in work. Justin Herbert did a great job. I don't mean to talk about the Charger quarterback, but that guy, Justin Herbert's a monster.
See, Max Kellerman, here's what you did, man. You took Tom Brady at this age, at 43, and just started comparing him to all kind of other Tom Brady's, but you weren't necessarily looking at this season as just this season. Yeah, he's not the old Tom Brady, but what many people said and what I said for sure is that he should do this season because he didn't have a preseason with his guys, because they didn't have the normal offseason or training camp that they usually have to have some of this chemistry, some of this camaraderie, some of this rapport that you build leading into a season. Also, when you watch yesterday's game, you got to think, like you said, there's no Chris Godwin. Ronald Jones is dropping footballs, but he's hitting guys like Scotty Miller down the field. Cameron Brate scores the first touchdown. He's working the ball around, and then at the end of the game, he goes deep to Mike Evans twice. There was a push-off on one, and on the other, he goes over Casey Hayward and catches the ball. But this is what I'm looking at when I'm looking at Tom Brady. When he goes to Tampa Bay, here's what we thought. We thought it was going to be Bruce Arians, right? No risk it, no biscuit. And the bad things, Tom Brady will fix it. That's what we were thinking. So we thought we'd get all this explosion right away, but he would minimize the mistakes. Well, he has the big mistake yesterday, and then he goes on this run. And very much like we talk about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys getting all these yards and trying to catch up, they don't win the games, though. See, that's what's going to make Tom Brady elite. That was the thing that Tom Brady brought over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that was new. That when it came to situational football moments, Tom Brady would make those plays, and he did that yesterday.
Ryan,
Exactly, Ryan.
And I think that continues throughout the season.
Let's not overstate it. We knew that Jameis was an interception machine. You had a great line. He was like the offensive and defensive player of every game he played in, 30 touchdowns, but 30 interceptions for 112 points. Just replace him with a veteran quarterback. Tom Brady's a very good example of one who cannot do that. And 7 and 9 easily turns to like 9 and 7. So we knew they'd be in contention. But let's look at the quality of their wins so far. They lose to a mediocre Saints team that didn't play very well week 1. And since then, they've rattled off 3 wins against who? The Panthers? The Chargers?